Welcome back everybody, I hope you're having a great day today, and I hope you're ready for what we're gonna read today. Jin was in the basket for about 2 seconds, but then got out of the basket. We do have Pineapple Toy, but I'm hoping that he comes back soon. But yeah, excited for today's episode, and I hope you guys are too. The first one that we're gonna read says, cousin offered to photograph our wedding as a gift, but now he's billing it. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay? I got married recently. My cousin is a professional wedding photographer and said, as my gift to you two, I'd be happy to take the photos at your wedding. We told him that we didn't want him to feel obligated to do that or have him feel burdened with work during this celebratory weekend, but he said he was happy to do it. We repeatedly expressed how grateful we were and we made sure to tag his business when we posted. We figured that was that. Now it's a few months after and he's received our thank you note for attending and photographing. He called me to say that he was sorry for any miscommunication, but the gift was taking time to put us on his busy wedding photography schedule, but we were still expected to pay. He wants $3,000. Oh, I'm gonna do your wedding photography as a wedding gift, and then turns around and is asking you for $3,000. Get out of here, dude. Not to sound ungrateful, but it was only him with a camera. No extra equipment or staff members. For less than that price, we could have gone with our original choice of wedding photographer, who offered us more people present at the wedding and a more advanced photography setup. We told him that because he'd said that it was his gift to us, we did not set aside a large photo budget, and now we don't have $3,000 to give him. He basically said that we're greedy a-holes, and we don't respect his work and this and that. Oh my god, the audacity. I feel badly about the misunderstanding. It wasn't even a misunderstanding, it was a trap. You don't tell somebody, hey, I'm gonna do your wedding photography as a gift, and then turn around and ask them for $3,000. That wasn't even a misunderstanding. He set you up in a trap. I feel badly about the misunderstanding, but I think it was an honest mistake on our parts, and that he bears some responsibility for the expectation being unclear. My parents think that I should drop it and pay him in installments to keep the peace. They seem to believe that I'm making this more than it needs to be. I want to stand my ground, but am I the a-hole? Absolutely not. You're the one that needs to keep the peace? Get out of here. Oh, that's so aggravating. Yeah, the top comment, not the a-hole. What kind of professional does all that with zero contract? Yeah, I'm gonna lie to you and say that I'm gonna do it as a wedding gift, and then I'm gonna turn around and expect $3,000 out of you, and without ever running that by you, when you're completely under the assumption that I'm doing it as a gift. The second top comment says, he robbed you if you chance to budget and choose a better option, not the a-hole. If you have the photos that you need, don't pay him. The miscommunication part pisses me off because it wasn't a miscommunication. He did this on purpose. Yeah, like this comment says, sounds like he changed his mind and decided to scam you. Months later, he decides to drop this bomb? Hell no. And the comment below that says, he also never mentioned the cost. He's lying and trying to scam OP. No one buys something without the cost. No one sells anything without mentioning the cost and making sure the buyer agrees to pay that much. The cousin's lying. OP, I feel like you need to show your parents this post, and also probably your cousin. They need to read the comments. The comment below that one says, it wasn't an honest mistake on your part. He literally said it was a gift and you signed nothing. If it was supposed to be a business transaction the entire time, as a professional photographer, he would have had you sign a contract. I have never heard of any business involved in weddings, including florists and caterers, where there wasn't a contract and or some type of payment up front. If your parents feel that strongly, they can give him $3,000. It is completely unreasonable that they and he think that you should give him anything. Yeah, show your parents the responses to this. OP's got a comment that says no contract involved. Because I thought that it was an outright gift, it hadn't occurred to me that we'd need one. My mistake there. No, it's not your mistake, OP. No, he did not give any other gift. OP, none of it's your mistake. He lied to you. Yeah, like this comment says, not the a-hole, there's no miscommunication. He tricked you and hoped that as it's a family wedding, that you wouldn't kick up a fuss and that you'd just pay. Have you got any text showing that it was a gift? Yeah, and the comment below that, your title should be, my cousin did a bait and switch on us and is now extorting us for $3,000 for our wedding photos. This one is so bad. You don't tell somebody that you're doing something as their wedding gift and then later be like, oh nah, actually I need $3,000. Like, that is such an a-hole move. Is this rage bait? It might be. It's so frustrating. And OP's parents think that OP should pay just to keep the peace? Why would you want to keep the peace with this guy? Like, what an absolute snake move. This comment says the misunderstanding is entirely on him. If he's a professional, then he doesn't work a single wedding without a contract communicating the price and expectations. The generous gift of getting you on his schedule so that you could pay him $3,000 is utter bullshit. He is a tremendous a-hole. He's not only the greedy one, but deceitful in offering a service and then demanding $3,000 after. He's hoping that you cave because it's not like you can hire a new photographer now, but unless you signed a contract and didn't understand what it was stating, you don't owe him a cent. I would refuse to pay. It's not on you to keep the peace. He's the one extorting you. Post number 2 says, am I the a-hole for embarrassing my mother-in-law in front of guests after she implied that I don't do real work? I, 28 female, work from home as a software developer. My mother-in-law, 58 female, has never understood or respected that. Really? Like, for real? That's unbelievable. You're a software developer that works from home, and she doesn't understand that. Imagine if you were a YouTuber. You do what? You read stuff on the internet for a living? Every time she visits, she makes some snide remark, like, oh, must be nice to sit in pajamas all day. Or back in my day, we actually had to commute to work. This past weekend, we hosted a small barbecue. During dinner, somebody asked me what I do, and before I could answer, mother-in-law chuckled and said, oh, she watches Netflix and calls it coding. Without skipping a beat, I smiled and said, yeah, and that Netflix paid off your son's student loans and bought this house. Everybody laughed and mother-in-law got really quiet. After they left, my husband said that I was being unnecessarily mean. Oh my God. And I should have let it slide. Oh, bro, get out of here. Am I the a-hole? No. And another husband who doesn't stand up for their partner. Oh, what a fail from the husband. Yeah, like this comment says, OP1, mother-in-law 0, husband minus 1,000. It should have never come to this point because your husband should have had your back. Not the a-hole all the way, OP. Might want to see if there are any other red flags in your relationship though. And the top comment, your mother-in-law has been unnecessarily mean for a long time now, and your husband hasn't seen fit to deal with her and get her to treat you with some respect. If he doesn't like how you deal with it, next time he can make sure his mum's behavior doesn't become your problem. Yeah, why the post so infuriating today? The second top comment says, if you don't like the way that I deal with your mother belittling me, feel free to take over for me. The days of it going unaddressed are over, not the a-hole. And the comment below that, God, I can't stand these men who don't support their wives when their mothers are witchy at them. I'd be really pissed if my husband didn't have my back, especially regarding his mother. Yeah, so wild. And the comment below that, you paid off his loans and you bought the house that he lives in? Hell no, I wouldn't let it slide. But I'd let him slide back to mummy with his tail between his legs if he didn't put mummy dearest in her place. Oh, the rage. Yeah, the audacity of that is astonishing. He should be on your side more than anybody in the world. But no, he takes his mum's side, when all his mum's being is jealous and nasty for no reason. The next one, am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my husband's birthday dinner after he pranked me in front of everybody? Oh, here we go. I, 28 female, took my husband, 31 male, out to dinner for his birthday last weekend. I reserved a table at a nice steakhouse that he loves and I invited a few people, friends and family. Nothing huge, only 10 people. I paid for everything myself. At dinner, I stood up to give a short toast about how proud I was of him for hitting a milestone at work. I barely got 2 sentences in before he cuts me off and says, you know what would really make this birthday better? If my name finally admitted that she's pregnant. I just stared at him. I'm not pregnant. I'm not even trying to be. He knows that I'm sensitive about this because I had a miscarriage in March. Everybody at the table was gasping and then stared at me for confirmation. My mother-in-law immediately started squealing and tearing up. My boss, who I invited because he helped get my husband promoted, actually stood up to congratulate us. I looked at him in total disbelief and said, what the hell are you doing? He laughed and said that it was a prank, just a joke. Oh yeah, so funny, dude. I left. I paid the bill via the app from my car. I texted everybody that the night was over and I told my husband that he could Uber home. When he did get back, he called me humorless, said that I humiliated him on his birthday, and now even his family are saying that I was cold to him over a harmless joke. He says I embarrassed him by walking out and that I made everybody uncomfortable. I think he humiliated me first. Am I the a-hole? No, definitely not, and it's not harmless. Like this comment says, not the a-hole, jokes are funny. Where was the joke? The comment below that says, wow, not the a-hole. And I don't see how you can continue to stay married to a man who would do this to you so soon after a miscarriage. That's absolutely awful. What did he think was going to be funny about it? Do your other guests think it was funny? To be honest, this would make me question if he's harboring some sort of serious issues and or resentment about the miscarriage or lack of children thus far. And quite frankly, I wouldn't want to deal with somebody who, rather than deal with their emotions, makes spiteful jokes to hurt you and make himself feel better. And the comment below that says, not the a-hole, your husband was being unkind. I don't see how you move past this, unless he sincerely apologizes. And even then, it was a disgusting incident on his part. I'm sorry about your loss. Yeah, but he's 100% sure that OP's the a-hole. That's so awful. And yeah, there's nothing funny about it. The next one, my brother-in-law crossed the line while my husband's deployed. My husband, 28 male, and I, 27 female, have been married for a little bit over a year. He's currently deployed overseas with the military, and we recently found out right before he left that I'm expecting our first child. It was bittersweet timing, but he was overjoyed and so was I. Last week I shared the news with our families, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. Everyone was excited, especially his younger brother, 25 male, who's been a bit too friendly, but nothing that I couldn't chalk up to personality. That changed this morning. I woke up to a message from him saying that he understands how emotionally draining pregnancy can be, and that sometimes intimacy becomes rare or non-existent. He then blatantly said that he's available if I need comfort, emotionally or physically, while my husband's away. Ew. He even made a comment about how no one has to know. I'm furious, I'm disturbed, and I'm honestly at a loss. I have zero interest in anybody except my husband, who's the love of my life. But now I'm stuck wondering how to handle this without tearing a hole in their family. My husband and his brother are extremely close. They grew up together during some tough times and have always leaned on each other. His brother was even the best man at our wedding. My husband would be heartbroken and enraged if he found out what was said. Yeah, but he needs to know. The brother-in-law's the one who's tearing a hole in the family, not you, OP. But at the same time, this is a massive betrayal. His brother's not only disrespecting our marriage, he's undermining my husband's role as a father and a partner during a time when we're supposed to be building our future. I keep on thinking, do I tell my husband now, while he's deployed and can't really do anything, except stew in anger from afar? Or do I wait until he's home, knowing that delaying it might seem like I was hiding it? If I don't say anything at all, his brother stays in his life like nothing happened, and that makes my skin crawl. What if he tries this again? Or with somebody else? What if he's done it before? Tell your husband immediately. My loyalty is to my husband and to our baby, but no matter what I choose, somebody is going to be deeply hurt. There's no clean way out of this. I want to do what's right for my marriage and my child and myself. How do I expose a betrayal that could wreck a lifelong bond without causing unnecessary damage? 100% the top comment. Send him the message and ask him how he'd like you to handle it. Don't be afraid of blowing up the family. Your brother-in-law has already done that. Yeah, could not agree more. Tell your husband immediately. Yeah, and also the comment below that. Tell your husband now. Send him the message and his family too. The longer you wait, the worse it'll get. And never be alone with his brother. Yeah, not only does your husband need to know about this immediately, but also the family too. But also you need to send that screenshot to your in-laws too. The brother-in-law's going to be like, oh no, I never said that. Everybody needs to very clearly know what's going on. This comment says your brother-in-law's a creep and is the a-hole. I would share the message with everybody in the family because you must establish distance from him and they need to know why, not the a-hole. OP does have this comment. You're right, I needed to hear that. Honestly, it is the best path even if it is hard. I'll tell him and I'll make sure to set clear boundaries. Thank you for the push and the support. And that was under that comment that said, tell your husband now, send him the message and his family too. Okay, so by the sounds of it, OP's gonna do that, which is good. Good luck to OP. The next one, am I the a-hole for not splitting the inheritance with my siblings after finding out that I was the only one who didn't screw over our dad? My dad died about 6 months ago. I'm 29 female, the youngest of 4. My older siblings are 35 female, 37 male, and 40 female. We weren't a super close family, especially with my dad. He was strict and cold and kinda hard to be around. But in the last few years, I was the only one who stayed in touch with him. I'd check in, I'd help out with errands, I'd sit with him during appointments, that kind of thing. The rest of my siblings gradually drifted off. I figured that they all had their reasons and I never pushed it. I thought we were all on decent enough terms. When he passed away, I was shocked to learn that he left everything to me. The house, the car, and around 300 grand in savings. The will was updated a year before he died, and it's completely legal. I didn't ask him for that. I didn't expect it. To be honest, I thought we'd all get an equal share. The day after the funeral, my siblings sat me down and just assumed that I'd divide everything 4 ways. I told them I wasn't going to, and that's when the drama started. It turns out they hadn't just drifted, they had all pulled some shady stuff with my dad over the years. One borrowed money and ghosted him. One tried to get him to co-sign a loan, and then went no contact when he refused. And one literally forged his signature on an insurance thing. I had no idea, but apparently my dad did. He never said anything to me about it. All he did was change his will and left everything to me, the one who stuck around and didn't lie to him. Now they're calling me selfish and manipulative. Well, projecting. saying that he wasn't in his right mind. He absolutely was sharp until the end. One of them hinted at legal action, but they dropped it once they saw the paperwork. I haven't touched the money yet. Part of me feels guilty. Another part of me feels like this is the one time that he actually showed that he saw me, and I don't want to undo that. I also want to mention that I didn't have a bad relationship with my siblings. We were all right, but when I found out what they did to our dad, it broke my heart. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, there are lots of comments saying it too, but how did OP find out about all of this stuff? Like this comment says, did they just admit all this stuff? And the comment below that says, info, how did you find that out? Your dad didn't tell you, and you said your siblings didn't either, nor would it make sense for 3 individuals to come clean about trying to use your dad when they want you to split the money with them. Yeah, that's the only part that's not clear. But yeah, like the top comment says, not the a-hole. OP, all I can say is respect your father's final wish. 100%. The comment below that says, look, they're projecting. The only one selfish and manipulative were your siblings. At the same time, understand that this decision could impact your relationship with them moving forward, and you need to be prepared to deal with that. The comment below that says, if you were to give each sibling 75 grand and then a quarter of the house, they would have those free and clear. You, on the other hand, would have significant tax consequences, at least in paperwork and CPA costs if not money owed. You wouldn't be sharing an inheritance, you'd be giving each of them a gift that's well above the annual exclusion amount. Yeah, definitely a not the a-hole consensus. And like this comment says, I'm a firm believer in honoring your dad's wishes. If your siblings are so shallow that they have to be bought to hang out with you, then they're not worth it. I applaud you for being there for your dad. It was their behavior that changed things. And the next one, am I the a-hole for refusing to meet my biological mother's husband and kids and saying no to any kind of relationship or contact with them? I, 17 male, was raised by my dad. My biological mother wasn't ready or whatever and gave me to dad to raise at birth. She lived about an hour away from us, so I saw her around, but she never talked to me. When I was little, I'd try to wave or speak to her and she didn't even want to know. Eventually, I stopped seeing her as anything to me. Her parents were a different thing and they had to be kept from me because they tried taking me from my dad and tried to make biological mum raise me even though she didn't want me. Dad did everything he could to shield me from that stuff, but I ended up speaking to different court people when I was 6 because of the fight that my biological grandparents put up. And during all of that, my dad was amazing. I guess sometime in the last 3 or 4 years, my biological mother has gotten married and she had kids with her husband. She reached out to dad a few months ago and told him that she wanted to see me. Dad talked to me and I didn't want to see her, so I told him no. But she got a lawyer involved, and dad's a lawyer and her lawyer were communicating, and she made the threat with her lawyer that she would sue for custody or visitation if dad didn't comply with making me talk to her. I told dad to agree. I didn't want to go to court. I didn't want a therapist getting involved. I have zero interest in a relationship with her, and I knew that would potentially be pushed for until I'm 18, so I agreed to meet with her and it was awful. She told me about her husband and kids and how she felt that it would be good for me to meet them and have a relationship with them. I turned her down and I said it would never happen. That was the end of us talking. But she pressed dad on it with the lawyers and she's prepared to go to court and pay a ton of money for this to happen. I don't care if her kids are related to me through blood. I'll die saying that I'm an only child and they will never be my siblings in my eyes. So I reached out and I said that if she pushed that, she would have to explain to her kids why their brother is so disinterested in them and why he's never happy to see them and makes no effort to be in their life. I told her I'll be 18 sooner than she realizes and she can't make me hang around. And I told her I don't care if her kids get hurt. I told her she'll be left to pick the pieces up with her husband. Her husband raged at dad after everything happened. Bro, what? My biological mother backed down after I made the threat to not care about her kids' feelings. Her husband thinks badly of me for saying it. He's being an ass to dad over it and dad blocked his number, but he has access to my biological mum's number. Dad doesn't block her because he likes being prepared for her dragging the lawyers into it. The whole thing's a mess, and I don't feel guilty about it because of this random guy or these random kids. I don't care about the kids being blood. I don't care if she turns into a mother to them, and then they want to bond to me over it. We're not family. But I know that my dad's dealing with the reaction to it, and I do feel bad about that. He doesn't say that it bothers him, but he's finding it harder to keep what's going on from me. So, am I the a-hole? No, definitely not. Your mum and her husband are so awful. But does your mum even have a brain? Like, oh yeah, trying to force a relationship. That's a good idea. What the hell does she think's gonna happen? The top comment says, not the a-hole. Your dad is amazing though. I think you're doing the right thing. Let your dad know how much you appreciate him standing up for you all of these years. Your mother and her husband can kick rocks. Yeah, and the comment below that, tell her let's go to court. We'll ask you for 17 years of back child support. See how fast she loses your number. The next one, am I the a-hole for kicking an autistic child out of my restaurant for misbehaving? My name is Gina, 55 female from upstate New York, and I run a family-owned pizzeria. My My husband and I have been in the service industry for decades, and over the past few years we've noticed a huge increase in rude customers, rude children, and a crazy level of entitlement. One of the rules we have in our restaurant is that nobody is allowed to talk on speakerphone, or play music out loud, or have anything playing on a speaker from a personal device. This is such a simple request and something that's always been the standard. This was not even an issue or something that needed to be said before the pandemic. But now it seems that parents feel attacked if their children can't watch Bluey on high volume. We've got signs up asking people not to do this, and we actually do enforce this rule, politely but firmly. A few weeks ago there was a woman sitting with her 9-year-old son who was watching cartoons on his tablet at full volume, while also scrolling TikTok on a phone. I nicely explained to the woman that we don't allow this as it's so disruptive to other customers, and I asked her to please turn off the volume. The woman rudely replied that her son has both ADHD and autism, so he needs to do this in order to sit down without making a fuss. I asked if she could please use headphones, and she snapped that her son does not like to use them. I told her this is not acceptable, and to please either use headphones or set his devices to silent. About 10 minutes after, I was in the kitchen and I heard loud banging noises coming from the dining room. I came out to find the child furiously banging his fists on the table, while the mum just sat there ignoring it. It was almost like he was waiting for her to say something, but she did nothing. I asked her to please stop him, and she replied that he's on the spectrum and it's normal behavior if he doesn't have a device to calm him down. The boy then stood up and started running around my restaurant, punching and kicking the other tables and chairs, knocking things over. Another customer yelled at the mum to control your kid or I will. She launched into what sounded like a pre-rehearsed monologue about how autistic children deserve to occupy the same space as everybody else. I agree with this, but everybody still needs to behave appropriately. I told the woman that if she could not get her son's behavior under control, that she needs to leave. She was furious, yelling about how it's illegal to discriminate against people who are on the spectrum, and that she would report me. My husband came out, put her food into a to-go box, and said to her, "Get out right now." She looked genuinely shocked and said that kids should not be expected to sit quietly, and that the world needs to be more accepting of those who are different. I love kids. My husband and I raised 5 of them, even one with special needs. But autism or not, nothing gives you the right to behave this way in any setting. If your child's issues are so severe that simply sitting in a restaurant without a device makes them freak out and throw a tantrum, then maybe reconsider taking them there in the first place. I'm so tired of rude kids and lazy parents who embolden them to behave this way, refusing to discipline them or set any kind of rules or boundaries. It's not even about ADHD or autism or any other condition. It's about entitlement, 100%. Bad parenting and bad behavior as a result. Am I the a-hole? This comment says, you know who else would hate somebody behaving like that in a public space that they expected to be quieter? Someone with autism. The comment below that says, on behalf of people everywhere who want to dine out without blaring speakers or children's activities out loud for any reason, thank you. P.S. I've got 2 grown children, both are neurodiverse and one's on the spectrum. They were never allowed to be disruptive. Yeah, the comment below that, not the a-hole ADHD dad to ADHD children. It's amazing how many parents use autism and ADHD as excuses to not parent at all. The comment below that comment says, not the a-hole. Her not learning how to be the proper parent for her child is not your fault. Her bringing her child to a place where he can't watch his tablet on full volume is not your fault. Her child having ADHD and autism is not an excuse for not having coping steps in place for a meltdown. Her child having ADHD and autism is not an excuse for her inability to navigate a meltdown. And your restaurant is not collateral damage for her inability to be a proper parent and care for her child the way that they require. Yeah, very much a not the a-hole consensus. And the last one for today says, am I the a-hole for not letting my parents join us for Mother's Day so they could meet and get to know my kids? I, 39 male, have 4 children with my wife, 37 female. My wife nor my kids have ever met my parents or my siblings. I've been no contact for about 20 years now, and while that was technically broken by my parents reaching out and me responding, I sent 3 replies to their messages and that was it. So this was by no means intended to be a return to contact. However, they wanted a relationship with me and my children, and they asked if we could spend Mother's Day together. They offered to host or come to mine and my wife's house if we didn't want to travel with the kids. I said no, but they held on to the hope or expectation that I'd say yes. I did not. They were contacting me all day yesterday until I went and blocked them. A relative passed my contact information to them, and I spoke to the same relative last night, and she came down hard on me for denying the chance for a reunion and for refusing to let them come and meet my kids and get to know them. Hey, that's not your choice to make. She said it's not thinking of my kids. I don't agree, but I'll explain background now and see if you agree with the relative and my parents. Background for those who need to know more information in order to give a verdict. I was born to younger parents. They were 19 and 20 when I was born. They were not good parents parents to me. I can't even say they were okay. They weren't very warm, they weren't affectionate or caring, and I was made to feel like a burden. The reality was I existed in the same house as them, but they could ignore me for days at a time without saying a word to me. They didn't make sure I was eating and sleeping. It was only kinda common for them to make sure that I made it to the bus stop, and that stopped once I was considered big enough to get myself out the door. Homework problem? Better go somewhere else for help or say f it and let the teacher yell. I learned how to forge their signatures on homework and stuff from school that needed a parent signature because they weren't there to do it for me. I was 14 before they had more kids, and my siblings were kids they wanted. They turned into completely different people. They were loving parents who were far more involved and far more supportive and affectionate and caring. They did speak to me more after this shift in their personalities, but they did not step up as my parents. I still couldn't go to them with any problems. They didn't know or care if I ate or went to sleep at a good time. They still didn't involve themselves in my education. They never talked post-high school with me, and my guidance counselor tried to bring them in on the discussion, but their go-to excuse was saying that they had 2 small children at home. There were no more days at a time of not speaking to me, but really they didn't have conversations with me. They'd say some stuff, and occasionally I'd be asked a question about how things were going or whatever. And during all that, I got to see them being parents to my siblings that they were never willing to be for me. Back then, it hurt a lot, and for a few years after I went no contact, it hurt too. My choice to go no contact happened as a result of me realizing that I need to accept them as they are or go no contact, and I couldn't do the former. From what I can gather, the reason that my parents reached out to me is because both of my siblings have stated that they don't want children, and one or both has been sterilized to prevent themselves from having children. So my parents were depressed about it and learned from the relative who gave them my details that I had children. Am I the a-hole? No. Like this comment says, well, I wouldn't blame you. Time to cut off that auntie too. Not the a-hole, and the crappy part of this, it's still not about you. You're only a means to their grandkids. Screw them. They were crap parents and they'll be crappy grandparents. Your kids won't miss much. I wonder if they're the reason why your siblings are child-free. Yeah, they probably are. And the comment below that, so they still don't want you. Just your children. Block their number and your other relative too. Not the a-hole. Yeah, for sure. And that's enough for today. We need to read something wholesome. Don't forget you can start late, start over, be unsure, try and fail, and still succeed. Yeah, that's so beautiful and it's so true. Like if you keep going and you learn from your mistakes and you don't give up, you'll 100% get there. It's inevitable. The next one says, me and the boys in 2070 because the squad never leaves each other. Lifelong friends. I love that so much. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a great time today. If you did, make sure you subscribe if you want to. And the comment of the day goes to Pixie Baby. The pineapple toy and the cats need their own little microphone, even if it's fake. That would be so awesome. That is such a good idea. Like if I had a mini version of this microphone, like mounted here on the cat bed, that would be so cute. Thank you for the idea. That's such a good idea. I shall look into if I can find any cute little mini microphones. Okay, I'm out of here. Thank you for the support, everybody. Make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every other day. Bye!